So one of my subscribers, I'll keep him anonymous, he wrote this to me. I'm about 3 to 6 months from losing my home. That is, unless a job offer comes along, but nothing seems to be, and I've been very aggressive in looking. I have a question regarding your view on suicide. What is your take on it? Part of me believes that we have the right to choose when we want to go. It's been touted that we have chosen to come into this life. I don't know if that's true, but it does sound romantic enough to want to believe in that. I look forward to your response. I did respond to it and I said I would make a video at some point. But he wrote back very recently and said, regarding my question to you about your thoughts on suicide, I may or may not be around in the near future to ever hear your response. These feelings I have are starting to take over. I'm doing my best. No, I can't see a doctor. I have no money. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure, but would really like to hear the thoughts of someone I respect. I'm reaching out to various people in the internet community, so it shows at least I'm still searching and willing to expand my current mindset. Hope to hear from you soon. Well, here we go. Here's a video on suicide, and I haven't really prepared too many thoughts on this, except really to talk about sometimes in my life when I have felt especially dark about life. The two worst times were in my late teens or early 20s when I was a new Christian and I was struggling a lot to try and make Christianity work in my life, work morally. But Christianity is opposed to the natural man and natural instincts. So you're constantly on this guilt trip. You're constantly going, oh Lord, I'm so unworthy. And this had the effect in me of me wanting to die, but not in the sense of wishing I could commit suicide. Kind of just wishing I could fast forward my whole life and get to heaven. You know, life was kind of intolerable and I just couldn't wait till it was over. The other time I kind of felt dark was when I was a materialistic atheist, where life seemed to have no meaning and I had no sense of any metaphysics, no idea of God or anything like God. Just had the idea that the universe was just this meaningless thing that had no purpose. And when you really think about that, that's kind of stupid. When you just take in the sheer magnificence of it all, to say, well, this isn't for anything, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm happy to live with the mystery of not really knowing any kind of ultimate purpose. It seems enough for me to know that there is a purpose, regardless of what that is, and my small life is a part of that. But as an atheist, you know, I kind of lived with a constant sense of minor depression. Kind of, you know, you're trying to enjoy a sunny day and there's a kind of a cloud over your mind. What is it that makes a person decide that it is better to not exist than to exist? Because that's essentially what, at least that's what I think the suicidal impulse is. Oblivion is preferable to life. And I just can't relate to that. And I'm guessing in your case it has something to do with your life situation, because you mentioned it in the same breath pretty much as you know, the fact that you may lose your house. When bad things happen to me, it tends to produce the response of fighting. And I just can't, I mean, I'm not speaking from experience here. I've never really had a big experience of material loss in my life. So I can't really say what that would be like. But I hope it would bring out in me a response of just fighting to survive. That seems like the most natural response. You know, just also bear in mind things like the things that I would be using to comfort myself in that situation would be just reminding myself that I came into the world with nothing and I'm going to leave it with nothing. And whatever I do with whatever I get in between those 2 points in time, just try to make the best of whatever it is. Ultimately, material possessions aren't really real, in the sense, in the last chapter of Reality Check, my book, I go into that where, I use the holographic universe theory, which I do believe quite strongly, to kind of look at life more as an experience of playtime, more like a video game almost, where, you accrue points in order to succeed. I don't know if that kind of a mindset helps you or not, but suicide has to some extent come close to my personal life. Actually, just a few months ago there, I had a cousin of mine in tears because he had experienced going to visit his mother-in-law and finding her dead in the house. And it wasn't natural death, she had committed suicide. There was a rope and everything. So that was quite shocking. And no one saw it coming. And I'm not sure why she did it, except she was on medication. So it is possible, that in some cases the suicidal impulse is driven by emotions that aren't behaving as they should, either through medication or through mental illness or whatever. So I want to say something profound, and I haven't got anything, because generally speaking I tend to just roll with the punches of life, and for the most part I'm able to be quite cheerful. The idea of living in a state of gloom about something where I feel that I would rather not be here, it is entirely alien to me. A couple of years ago there was a thing that happened in a local village in my area, the village of Laurel Vale, where a few young people, it concerned Laurel Vale and Tandragee and pupils who were attending a high school in my town. And there were a couple of suicides, and they were in quick succession, almost like these young people had made an agreement with each other to commit suicide. So the first one did it, a few weeks ago past, and the next one did it. And I'm saying to myself, how can this happen with someone who's like 15 or 16 years old? A time in your life when you're not really supposed to be taking life very seriously. How can that happen? And I don't know. What is it about what's going on in the minds of certain young people that would make them do that? That would maybe make them think, I have got nothing to live for, therefore I'm going to end it. And this, I suppose, begs the question, what do I live for? And the only answer I can give you to that is I live to experience, because life is just experience. It's a collection of experiences. It's whatever experiences you make. And I can't imagine not wanting to make any more. One of the most enjoyable experiences in my life is just a long walk on a lonely beach. I did that recently there. And when my family used to have a caravan, I used to do it several times a day, and I loved it. It was the most calming, peaceful thing. And it really brings life into focus. That, so much of life is just filled with nonsense, meaningless nonsense. Material gain, wealth, it's all crap. And one of the things you said in your message was that, you were wondering about, do we have the right to commit suicide? Ultimately, you can really do whatever you want to do, but surely, is it really so dark that you can't picture yourself doing something to somehow change how you feel. And I don't know what you need to do to go about that, because I only have a couple of scant details about your life. But, I mean, in some ways, I guess we all have various crosses to bear. This suicidal impulse seems to currently be yours. I'm not without my own cross to bear. I mean, I have things that I do battle with, improvements that I want to make to my life that are really, really difficult to do. But through it all, I remain cheerful, because, you know, life is really just a bit of a game. And I think the healthiest thing you can do is not to take it too seriously and try to roll with the punches. You know, I think the thing that gives me a lot of strength is just the things that I have figured out about life. I mean, I happen to think that I have the most advanced and sensible afterlife concept that's available. I've seen through the illusion of heaven, reincarnation, and I understand the idea of us all being one, and the idea of everything existing in a kind of ever now. It is hard to wrap your head around, but see, I know that when I die, Darrell Sloan is finished. He's gone. There is no individual soul that floats off of me and goes and has some other experience. When this experience is done, I will go on as other experiences. I am existing inside you right now, because all awareness is just the same awareness. And that is the afterlife to me. The afterlife is happening past, present, and future. It is here. It is actually this life. So the idea of me abandoning this life makes no sense whatsoever, because this life is everything that exists. The past, present, and future of all time in the physical arena is real life. So it makes sense to use it. Makes sense to take it and do something with it. You know? Regardless of what life throws at you. So I don't know if any of these thoughts have helped you in any way, but it's as clearly as I can express it, and it works for me. And if something happened, like my house was going to be taken away and I lost my job, I would be thinking, right, what can I do with this situation? How can I roll with these punches? How can I continue to survive and thrive and be productive? And I would figure out a way to do it. I would have to. And I just can't imagine myself saying, screw it, I'm going to slit my wrists. Because everything in me would just feel outraged and be angry and want to fight. I mean, the two strongest impulses that animals have are survival and to propagate your own kind. So, I don't know why you don't feel that. I don't know why you've lost the impulse to survive. And all I can suggest is you do a lot of introspection to try and find out where things have gone wrong.